Welcome back to another episode of The Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, an associate, a relative, an enemy, anyone in between. I appreciate all the views. It's been a while since we had the episode. So this one, what we're going to do, first segment is going to be about everything that's taken place over the last week and a half, 2 weeks that I can remember. Give a quick take on everything, probably 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then we'll go into a segment of more recent news from this week, because I'm sure you guys probably don't care too much about the stuff that happened beforehand, but there's a few bits and pieces that definitely need to be addressed. So without further ado, let's get into it. So about a week ago, there was comments from Regis Prograis and Devin Haney online with regards to Devin Haney being ringside at Regis Prograis' next event against Zoria at the Smoothie King Theater down there in Louisiana. I believe it is New Orleans. So interesting enough, Devin Haney went on Twitter and was like, look, I'm sure that Eddie told you about the conversation we had. Eddie was like, well, no, I haven't actually spoken to him yet, but let's get it done. And Devin's like, for the record, I'm the one that called Eddie about this fight, not the other way around. So Devin says that he's targeting Regis Prograis for a potential move up to 140. My thoughts on that, it's a bold move, and if he's actually willing to go through with it, say within the next 12 months, because there's no way that I expect him to jump straight from 135 up to 140 straight into a Regis Prograis fight. But if he was to do that, I give him unlimited respect, undue praise, because that is a very, very hard assignment. Regardless of whether you have Josh Taylor as the number one at 140 or Regis Prograis or even Subriel Matias, who knows, but that is not an assignment to be taken lightly, to jump straight up into the ring with one of those, all three of which are very big punchers. Regis and Subriel are probably the two bigger punchers than Josh, but Josh is a bit more physical, rough and ready, especially on the inside. That's not something that you can sniff at. So even if you felt that he didn't win the Vasily Lomachenko fight, that's not something you can criticize him for. That's definitely not a case where you can say, oh, well, he's ducking the rematch for Vasily Lomachenko for a Regis Prograis fight. I know which one I would rather take if I was Devin, even though I can't make the 135 comfortably anymore. So yeah, I thought that was a bit of interesting information. So yeah, if that does happen, and if he does end up being ringside, what's that, next week, Saturday, much power, much respect to him. Also, so another big thing, I guess, so you had Joseph Parker was taking on Faigo Apelu in Australia, I believe it was, and Tyson Fury was over there. And you had Tyson Fury at the time was talking about a potential fight against Dempsey McKean. Now, I know previously they were saying that they were looking to offer Zhilei Zhang a fight, but you had Joe Joyce saying, well, no, I'm going to activate the rematch clause. That being said, though, I find it weird, and I'm just going to say this from my perspective. It's almost like every single person, with the exception of, I guess, Dempsey McKean and Jaya Patel, that the Tyson Fury team has quote unquote been trying to make a fight with, or was asked to make a fight with, say the last month, for instance, they've all already stated that they have a plan in motion. So if we look at the Zhilei Zhang one, okay, so you say, yeah, we want to fight Zhilei Zhang, but you know that he is contractually obligated to do a rematch with Joe Joyce if Joe Joyce activates the rematch clause. So why call him out knowing that Joe Joyce could activate that at any time? Because even if you say, yeah, let's get it, and he says, yeah, come on, I want that work, he can't do anything until Joe Joyce officially says, I will not be invoking that rematch. So he's tied into a situation. You got Dempsey McKean, obviously his profile is not big over here, but he's, I guess, got a little bit of a following in Australia and maybe New Zealand and sort of that Tasman type area, so potential there. Jaya Patel, okay, that's actually a very interesting fight. Jay, but naturally a cruiserweight, still at cruiserweight, IBF champion at cruiserweight, hasn't fought in almost a year now due to a broken jaw. So even though you might say he's a good gauge or a good preparation for someone like Alexander Usyk, you're coming at someone that's basically, what's the word? There's definitely going to be some ring rust or reservations there. I mean, the break on his jaw was like horrendous, so it's not like, that's going to be a fragile thing for him for a while. Anytime he gets hit, that could just send him spiraling back into what happened in that fight, and how is the jaw actually going to be? Is it going to be good? Is it not going to be good? We don't know. So yeah, that's just, you say, okay, there. Then you've got the quote unquote the Alexander Usyk call out. Well, at the time when you've called him out, he's literally already been told that his mandatory challenger is who he has to face next. Coming up to purse bids like a week beforehand, you know for a fact that he's not going to turn down the purse bid to then lose that belt, because for anything, he cares about belts more than anything else. He does not want to lose a belt because he wants to be undisputed. That's his goal. He's not going to just willingly vacate and give up a belt to fight you, especially on terms that were already not that favorable to him in the first place. After, whether you say pride or integrity or whatever was compromised a couple of months prior. No, he's going to get this work done, and he's going to come for you at the end of the month, at the end of the year, as he said he was. So calling him out, even though he's got a prior engagement. The Anthony Joshua thing. Now look, while there's no the Dillian White thing is not concrete or whatever, that was the play. That's always been spoke about as the fight in either July or August. It should have been July, but they pushed it back. That being said, so then you go and then you offer Anthony Joshua a fight for September, knowing that he wants to fight July/August, then December. You know full well that Anthony Joshua is not going to be able to go from a fight in September to then do another fight in August. That turnaround hasn't been done by him in about 6 years. So doing that makes absolutely no sense. And then you have people like Frank Warren come out and say, well, you haven't even got an opponent yet in August, so why not just fight Tyson? But why are you then telling him to fight Tyson in September when he says that the day he wants to fight is in August? Why don't Tyson fight him in August? That's the thing I don't understand. Why must it be September when Tyson Fury hasn't fought this year? So it's not like he's got injuries to have to overcome, or he's had a hard training camp that he had to deal with. Like, there's still 2 months from now to August. Joshua's opponent hasn't been announced, neither has Tyson. So why must he then push his potential fight date back a month and a half, 6 weeks, when Tyson could just move his one up if that's the fight he really wanted? Plus, at that point, if you put it at Wembley or wherever else in the UK, that's just before the football season starts, realistically. So you can have it there knowing that there's not going to be anything else really clashing with that date. So a lot of it just looks and seems like hollow call-outs. That's my take on it. And there's a lot of PR spin and a lot of sort of trying to run narrative. The unfortunate thing is, a lot of the narrative that is trying to be added into this situation, unfortunately, it's not feasible, because everyone has just seen the timeline from months gone by. So yeah, I guess the last thing to really sort of touch on from previous sort of the previous week or so you got Gervonta Davis, who was sentenced back in May to do 3 months worth of house arrest. He's supposed to do it at Calvin Ford's house. He then comes out and basically says that house is too small. It's not, there's not enough room for him. So he decides to rent out a penthouse at the Four Seasons Hotel and wants to do his house arrest there. And then the judge is like, well, hold on a minute. That was not what was agreed on your conditional your conditional sentencing. So therefore now you're going to do the rest of your bid in jail. He came out about 3 or 4 days ago now, basically saying that he feels like the judge is being unfair to him. The judge doesn't like him. He's being victimized, and they're acting crazy and blah blah blah. And it's weird because you listen to the conversation that he put out on, I guess it was a telephone call or whatever, but it's like, well, hold on a minute. You were told to do your house arrest in this location. Because you didn't like the location, you chose to then change that location without permission from the judge or the authorities. Now, if you was in prison, are you telling me, oh, well, I don't like my cell, it's too small, so I'm going to just move to another cell? No, it doesn't work that way. You don't have that license. And it's a serious lack of accountability from what's supposed to be a grown man, understanding that you was actually given a chance, because that wasn't your first driving offense. That was probably, I think, the fifth or the sixth driving offense that you had. You've also had numerous run-ins or misdemeanors levied at you towards some kind of domestic violence against women or whatever's going on there. You get this slap on the wrist, you get this quote-unquote second chance that I said from time ago I don't even think you deserved. You should have got a harder sentence based on what you were charged with. And then you still end up fucking that up. It's crazy how one guy can self-destruct and destroy their career as much as he does while still being protected. And that just goes to show me that when people was talking about, yeah, he's definitely like, he's the face of boxing, blah blah, no, like even Mike Tyson, for all the madness and stuff that he kind of got into, it wasn't this bad, like consistently. And also you have to remember, when he was doing what he was doing, it was at a time when not every single thing that you do every day of the world is captured on somebody's smartphone, is on the internet within 10 minutes of it happening. Like, so there's a lot of things whereby I'm not condoning, but you can sweep under the rug, you can hush, like certain things. Did it happen? Didn't it happen? There's no evidence. Here, there's pretty much evidence of everything, and you still remain this mad entitled man-child, which is crazy to me. It's so, you can already see, it's clear that his entire career, pretty much from when he got into professional ranks up until now, like he's been protected by people that obviously are a lot smarter than he is. Because when you leave him to his own devices, these are the kind of things that happen. These are the kind of stupid decisions that he makes. And yes, he deserves to be in that prison cell for the next 2 months. He had a chance to not have that happen, but now that's what you do because of your own stupidity and entitled behavior. I can't really say much else more about that. That's all I can really think of, the main stuff that happened over the weeks. I mean, there's some other bits and pieces. I guess you could talk about the fact that Chris Billam-Smith and Lawrence Okolie. Okolie says he wants the rematch. Ben Shalom is basically saying that he thinks, Okolie's going to move to heavyweight. Ultimately, I think what he's basically saying is that we don't want to do that rematch. While we weren't necessarily expecting Chris Billam-Smith to win, he serves our purpose a lot better than you, because he's got a fan base, he's got an audience, he can sell out, he can draw a crowd, and he can be in fun fights. Lawrence has absolutely nothing to offer, especially now that he doesn't have the belt. And while the Riakporhe fight was our big money spinner that we wanted, Riakporhe Billam-Smith 2 is just as viable a service. Yeah, there may not be the needle between the two of them in terms of a rivalry, but there's history there. People know that they had a pretty close fight previously, and now Riakporhe's coming. He can come for something that Chris Billam-Smith wants, although I've got a feeling they'll probably keep Riakporhe away from him just for the moment and try and get him one of the other belts up until that point. But I don't know what's going to happen with Lawrence Okoye next. If he gets talked out of doing that rematch, it's looking bad, because again, there's no general fan base that likes him. There's no, there's no allure around his name. He's definitely not the face of boxing at Sky and Boxer. So what happens next is going to be extremely interesting. But I will leave that there, reserve judgment, see what happens moving forward. But yeah, that's enough for sort of past stuff. If there's anything else, leave it in the comments. I will be putting out another video tomorrow, as well as a basis picks video. So yeah, you can put it in the comments there. Maybe I might even do one on Friday before I head off to the Queensbury show, and I'll touch on some of those topics there. But anyway, moving on to more current events.